in India today and over the next few years. Each one of them, I will start with allowing each one to introduce themselves, and then we'll have a few questions for everyone. I would like to keep the last 5-10 minutes for anybody who would like to ask questions. It's important what we are discussing today because somewhat defines reshaping the fashion and the product landscape in India over the next decade. Thank you again. Let's start.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Puneet Sehgal. I am the co-founder and CEO of Freakins. Freakins is a denim-first fast fashion brand that actually welcomes all, but yes, started by targeting Gen Z.
Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Sangeet Kishore. I head the global business for Royal Enfield Apparel. It's a homecoming over here and so excited to see all of you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Preeti. I am a Chief Business Officer of Nykaa Fashion, owned brands business. I lead a bunch of brands, Naked, which is a lingerie brand, and some ethnic brands and offline retail as well. I'm not millennial, not Gen Z, so yeah.
Couldn't tell ever.
Hi, I'm Yogesh Kakkar. I'm Chief Product Officer of PVH Arvind Fashion Limited. We run 2 brands in India, Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein. I have the pleasure to be associated with them for the last 18 odd years.
Hi, my name is Gautam Kotamraju, founding partner of 77 East Venture Partners. We're looking at exciting startups in fashion, food, home, electronics, and retail. And yeah, but I've been an operator for most of my life. This is just about recently that I've switched sides to of the proverbial table, right? So yeah, look forward to an interesting discussion. It's all around the product, whether it's an investment or whatever else. It's all starts with the product, so that can kick off really, with the new generation or not.
Yeah, wonderful. What Gautam didn't add is that we were in class together at fashion school. Okay, so let's start with Preeti. Preeti, you've been in the industry for some time now, quite a time. We will not talk about the time. But how have you seen it evolve in the last 10 years? I mean, what has been the trajectory? I ask because I started out at Amazon 11 years ago, and that was the beginning of e-commerce. It was also the year of the millennial, kind of decade of the millennial. And how has it been for the brands that you have worked with? How has that changed or how has that evolved over the last 10 years for you?
I think 10 years back, e-commerce was fairly new and it was really seen as the discounted channel to liquidate. And we were very clear that God knows where they're getting the money from, because all of us who were not in e-commerce were very, very envious of people who were in e-commerce. And I think cut 10 years today, we are clear that e-commerce is here to stay, point 1. It is critical to understand how to play the channel, number 2. Number 3, how do we, consumers at that time used to be, there was a joke that I always state, is that my parents told me, okay, go here, shop here, because we know this is the right store, because they were from the generation where GT was the big one. Then came department stores, then came e-commerce. And today my son is the one who tells me, why don't you go here and buy this? Because they are finally, it's the Gen Z who's really picking up what are the trends, what is moving forward, who is wearing what and why it will become a trend. So all of that conversations and business is actually getting done in a much, much faster, different way. And somewhere all of us have to learn to adopt to it.
Wonderful. So for everybody, I guess everybody's kids are the ones who are really shaping the internet and shopping patterns for everyone. Luckily, I am my own kid, so I shop for myself. Gautam, the same question to you. I mean, you've seen it also being part of Myntra and starting out Myntra. What has been the evolution pattern for you?
So one of the things that I saw when I came back, I was on a sabbatical, I was away for a while, and when I came back and I saw the Myntra of today, what I realized was they were finding newer ways to sell to the customers, right? Maybe a new language that they have to kind of talk to an evolving customer, a customer that is not so swayed by big brand logos, but maybe quite a luxury, if I can kind of call it that, correct? And of course, see, fits will come and go, baggies in, tomorrow it's going to be skinny, the day after it's going to be flared. So that's not got to do anything with Gen Z and its choices, right? We've grown up wearing different kind of fits at different life stages of our own, right? But it's more about how do you cater to them? Can you design supply chain to kind of make sure that your product is relevant? Because marketing has changed, how you bring your product to the customer has changed, how you deliver it to the customer has changed, what the customer expects. They expect more experience out of it. So it's not just while we talk keeping the product at the center, everything around has also changed, right? So to me, but at the same time, if I were to look at the evolution of product itself, I think it's more, while one part of it is less technical, it's maybe, like you said, about fast fashion, about quick acceptance, occasion-driven, need-driven. There's also enough investments, because I have a ringside view on what's happening in certain niches. Certain niches that are evolving. For example, some of the Gen Z, the older Gen Z is now getting pregnant, right? They're choosing activewear for pregnancy wear, in the sense, right? So we're moving into that generation where instead of, hiding your belly with a dupatta, right? We're not become South American yet, where it's not being flaunted, but women are working for longer. They are, wearing, they're still working out when they're pregnant. So they're choosing those things, and there are brands that are being created to cater to that, right? So it's the niches which I see really popping up, niches which was a very generalist approach. That's one thing that has changed in today.
So you're seeing the market niching into lots of, and given the size of the market of India, there is scope for a lot more of that to happen and multiple brands to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yogesh, you run a legacy brand, and like how has that evolved for you over the 10 years?
So before I get to the 10 years, what is important to see is the continuity, the longevity. And the way we look at it is, first see what are the fundamentals, what are the basics which will not change, which are timeless, which are always there. And it's not about the design of clothing or an accessory, it's about the attitude. So the basic attitude which doesn't change is to look cool, to stand out, to be noted. Once you capture some of the things like these, which are inherent, you can define what is changing, because those are short-term goals to be capturing. And believe you me, whatever the big name may be, out of 40 trends, they will always miss 10 of them. The best of them will have a 20 to 30% knowledge of what the current trend is and what is currently happening. So the focus on what is timeless, what is ageless, what will keep coming as an attitude is very, very important for us. What has changed for the brands is to, I would say again, in our basic values in the organization and the brands that we run, Tommy and Calvin, we see it as that what is cool. Now, this is one of the values we imbibe in the company. What is cool is a very misunderstood word, but how we want to define it is that cool is what is relevant today. And what is relevant today can be captured as an early getter when it is at the peak or when the trend is going out. But as a brand, as a commercial brand, I would say we wait for some of these trends to mature, and then we pick it up and make them more available across the country. That's part of the job that we do.
So thank you. Yogesh, you're on the other end of the spectrum. Sorry, Puneet. You're at the other end of the, apologies. You're at the other end of the spectrum where, he's waiting for trends to mature and come in. With Freakins, how do you see this evolve? I mean, how is this evolution be? How do you see what it means for Gen Z?
Like, what we see with Gen Z, I think is, or just, like younger people, right? Simply put, like, they don't hold sacred what older folks do. And I think brand loyalty is overrated with this audience because they've got access to a quantum of brands across industries, by the way, unlike any other previous generation has had. So I always say this, I'm like, Gen Z is inherently disloyal, and how do we lean into that, right? And I think the way to lean into that is what they want is what's completely on trend, and what they believe is on trend could be what an influencer who we may or may not know of in Europe, US, or India has suddenly worn, right? And so I tend to focus more on the supply chain side. My co-founder, he's 25, by the way, I'm 40s, right? So he understands brand and brings that to the table. I think, you were saying being cool, right? I think being cool is a young person's game. And that's how I see it. And I'm amazed at how very often I'll see sweatshirts selling on our site, like trending on our site. And I'm like, guys, who's going to buy this stuff? It's hot outside. We're all sweating. It doesn't matter. Gen Z wants it. They feel cozy in it. They're in offices and they're wearing it. And then they may have seen some influencer wear it, right? So I think our job is to lean into what they determine as cool very fast. It's very hard to build what's cool. That's just how we take it at Freakins.
Oh, okay, great. So, Samir, you are in a niche segment in the market, and yet your brand has such a great heritage. How do you transfer that heritage to the new age?
Yeah, so we'll have to probably go back into the legacy and look at it. So, I call it Royal Enfield is an emotion, right?
Yeah.
You have that emotion in you when you talk about that name. Now, cut to 2024 now, and we talk about Gen Z, right? The important thing is to decode this Gen Z, what he or she is willing to do, right? So the emotion part has gone away, and I call it emotion. They're all emotions are electronically fed. They'll put everything on Insta, right? So there is millions and billions of conversation which is happening as of now, and few brands would have been made somewhere, and few brands would have been sort of moved out in this fraction of second, right? So, I mean, catching them young and getting probably attached to what they think of in terms of making their presence felt is most important. That's number one. Number two is these guys are not brand loyalists, right? If something comes good, they'll shop it. Half an hour down the line, you ask, which is that brand? I don't know.
Brand agnostic.
Completely brand agnostic. So the most important thing is to decode these guys. These guys are, I mean, the kind of salaries what they draw now. When I joined, they are like, what, 20x of what we joined, Yogesh? Yeah? So they're these guys over here, that huge wallet, right? So we'll have to get these guys when the iron is very hot.
Right. So, the common consensus across everybody is Gen Z is generally useless kids who can't decide what they're doing. But at Nykaa, Nykaa has built its idea on this whole concept of youth and storytelling and all of that kind of stuff. What are the kind of trends that define this consumer of today? What are they going to be the important trends over the next few years that people need to look at that will define this segment?
I think probably number one would be sustainability. At least they want to talk about it. I'm not sure to what extent they'll buy it. Yeah, but I think Gen Z may not, but the subsequent generation, whatever it's called, I'm quite confident Alpha, they will pay for it because they've not seen the hard times. So for them, money is quite disposable and we should do what's right. So that's one. The second thing I think which will emerge is the use of AI. Like we're seeing, I'm bombarded by comments around AI, learn PPT, learn this, learn strategy, everything through AI, right? Like plugins, this, that. So definitely tech-enabled apparel, specifically in product, I think will play a large role. And lastly, I think technology in helping consumers look for what they want, because there is so much clutter which will be there. Like he was saying that every consumer, when they're coming in, there is just lakhs and lakhs of options that you're seeing. So there is this whole world of Shein which has emerged, which is fast fashion every day, new products are coming and going. And then this world of Nykaa fashion, which is around curated fashion. So you'll want to focus, you'll want to calm down, you know that you don't have the time, or you'd rather not go through 300 products to finalize your one person. So in my opinion, simplicity is something which will come in, and sharpening of assortments is something which will come in. If you combine sustainability with technology, probably that will be an answer that a lot of people will come to.
So when you talk about technology, technology is about communication or technology in developing the product. What would be the role? I mean, would AI design your clothes?
I think, I don't know if AI will design the clothes or not. Somebody just recently last week came for a pitch where they said that their AI creates lots of prints basis the data that they are scrolling on our sites, and they can actually tell the trends and create the prints for us. So I'm not sure how much that will win or not, but I do feel that technology combined with a human being is the way to win. There is no way that that's going anywhere, both from the actual products which are going to get made and also from solving for what consumers want.
Right. You want to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
Just adding to what Preeti was saying, AI will not be able to sort of design per se, but what is happening is that technology has to come into play, and these guys are very, very clear and as to what they require. That's number one. Number two, the thing which we never used to think of is the sustainability angle, which is now coming in. I mean, I would not have scrolled in my times that, if this product is a sustainable product, it's saving the landfills or, it's saving water, etc. But now this becomes an important medium for somebody to, this guy is to search.
Right.
Sorry, Nari. No, but this is a very touchy subject, the whole technology aspect of it. So I'll just put a slightly different perspective here. Because back in 2015, when AI wasn't that big a funda as it is today, it was more about computer vision, right? We were working with Myntra, an old mate of mine is also here somewhere, Ganesh. So we went ahead and created, what we did was we replaced, we had a lot of data I was at Myntra then. I was done with the co-founding the whole private brand ecosystem. We'd moved out to figure out what could we do with data, right? So technology can manifest itself in many ways. First is understanding what consumers are browsing and therefore what next comes from there, right? We went on to create a brand called Moda Rapido where we were testing, we replaced design and merchandising. Everything in fashion is a bet at the end of the day. What to make, how much to make, how to price it, when to do dynamic pricing, what kind of size sets to bring in, ratios, so on and so forth. Everything is a bet, right? It's usually guided by a buyer who thinks he or she is very informed from the previous seasons, correct? But there's only a limited amount of information that a human mind can process, right? The magnitude of information that can be processed by evolved data sciences systems cannot even be, it's unfathomable. So we, as a test, when we launched this back in 2015, right, some basic figures, 0.6% of the inventory gave about 1.6% of revenue, 4.6% of Myntra's profits at that point of time, right? I think going forward, when I say technology manifests itself in various ways, so I pick on what Preeti just said about tech-enabled apparel, right? For that to happen, right, with the PLI schemes kicking in, and I'm talking to some very exciting startups on a daily basis, operating in niches, working on technical apparel, right? I'm sure in Royal Enfield you'll see some technical apparel. I'm very happy with what Royal Enfield has done in terms of introducing some actually CE2 armor, right? It's Sasta Damdar Tikau no more, correct? You fall, you are safe today, correct? But when I say technical apparel, I think we need to invest in supply chains in the country, correct? We have to stop leaning on China all the time.
That's what is happening in
right?
footwear.
Otherwise, we are never going to sorry, Nari, we're never going to crest that proverbial horizon and say, oh, we are a country that can make not just cheap goods, but technically superior goods. A few friends of mine in the footwear trade, they're setting up factories here. Technically advanced factories, the likes that the country has not seen. I know a gentleman was here in the previous panel who was also doing that, right? There are a few others that are moving towards that direction. We've always Sasta Damdar Tikau. For the sake of the panel, when I say to make product great again, there needs to be investments made in supply chains, factories, also towards consumption, education to evolve consumption to a degree where there's consumption of those products.
Right. Yogesh, like again, being from a legacy brand, you have an outside view. What do you think are like the horizon segments over the next few years, given the fact that today we live in a data-driven, social media homogenized world? What are the kind of brands opportunities that will segment? Like athleisure really became big when we went through COVID. It started much earlier, but it came to its most. What are the kind of future do you see segments that would be exciting?
Hello. Yeah. Very interesting question. I wish I had a crystal ball to say that very clearly, but let me try to answer it in a way, because you always have the word view from your own head or from the peers. You're just an average of the 5 people that you sit with. Having said that, athleisure, has it reached the peak? As yet. If somebody could answer that in the room, would also be gazing in the crystal ball. So is that going to continue? Are hoodies the next thing and will continue? Is biking gear going to continue? Is there more to underwear that can be done? It's all in the question, but they're heavy questions. What I can clearly see in India particularly, from my point of view, is that there's a lot of fusion between activities. Athleisure is just the first birth of it, where athletic and leisure came together. But there's a lot to happen. If you look at the gourmet industry, the food industry, all the Michelin stars start with a thought process that they have to bring 2 kind of things or more than 2 kind of things together. So athleisure is just a name which has this plus this. There is another fusion where in weddings which is coming through what is called as modern or Indian plus ethnic plus something which is Western.
So these are good. What I want to understand also is, in what Gen Z will drive, what are the kind of segments do you see?
So again, what makes them cool and what makes them relevant at that point of time is what is going to be driven. Now, currently, if you see, the whole focus is on comfort plus sustainability. So if comfort can change the fits quickly, then that's what is going to drive it. Now, will comfort come into athleisure? For sure. Will there be still tight pants? No. So there is a fusion which brings everything athleisure to the next level, 2.0 athleisure wear, 2.0 ceremonial wear. So there is a new accent which keeps increasing into every component that comes in. According to me, gone are the days where the fashion will be cyclical and the same thing is going to come back in exactly the same way. There will be some twist to it when it makes a comeback this time.
So when I say that I have a trouser that is formal trousers made out of looper knit, would that be looking ahead?
It's called work leisure. There is an
You know-
actual term called work leisure.
There's also out leisure.
Outledger.
There's also out leisure.
Wait,
So,
we have less
as I
time.
said, there are more and more things which can be added. This plus this is equal to
I have
this.
3 minutes left, but I want to ask something really important. You know, Preeti and Puneet, sorry, Puneet. Preeti and Puneet, questions to you. You know, today, the 3 C's rule the internet and the way we do business, whether it's commerce, content, and community. How do you do it at Nykaa, and how do you manage to do the same within your brand?
So I think content, they're all extremely integrated together because content helps you in understanding what the brand is doing. Commerce is the enabler to make the sale. And then loyalty is what gets you back to the brand. So it creates a flywheel which you actually put in motion, and that's how then it gains momentum and you're able to build large businesses. So to create this flywheel, I think what's been really critical for us is to really put ourselves in the consumer's head, whether it's this young girl in Agartala looking for comfortable products or wanting to absolutely stand out in a wedding and wear something extremely revealing. Or there is this modern consumer sitting in Bangalore looking for this work leisure product or quad sets as maybe. Really the ability to do social listening and coming up with ideas around it in terms of what can you communicate, who can you communicate with, who are the influencers you work with, like Puneet was saying earlier. I think this influencer culture or liked by influencers is a very, very in trend or in motion strategy right now. So we really follow that as well. Really just keeping consumer at its heart and saying how can we help them? How can we support them in what they're looking for? And then of course, commerce, I think we are obsessed about everything that you can think of in terms of personalization, in terms of also can shop for, how do we get someone who's looking for this ability, wanting to stand out, off-shoulder dress, hence can we show more off-shoulder dresses, etc., etc. There's this whole funnel that we create. And of course, to generating loyalty. Loyalty, I think, is difficult to come up with today, and that's something that we actually track extremely consciously every month in terms of repeats buyers as well.
Puneet, how do you build community?
You know, there was a time when we were trying to build a lot of content in-house, and I think we've now calmed down on that. And in fact, what we do is we just rely on all these micro-influencers to build that content for us. What we'll do is we'll send our merchandise to hundreds of influencers out there. And I'm constantly amazed how every month, you know, several of those content pieces will...
Finish.
I'll move faster. So a lot of that content a lot of the content will generate, you know, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 views. And then you'll randomly see, like we saw this month, that one influencer who's got 100,000 followers has created a piece of content that's got 5 million organic views. This is on Instagram. And I went on Instagram, and she's walking on a treadmill, and she's like, Freakins jeans are perfect for short girls. That was the content, right? And so I was looking at that and I'm thinking that's an insight that none of us internally had. And we've had many such examples. So I think what we see is that the best content is now made by all these fashion influencers. There are so many, they're doing such a fantastic job. We shouldn't really even try to compete with that in-house. Our job from a commerce perspective is to ensure that when that style starts spiking and trending, you're not going out of stock and you can rapidly replenish. So to your point about supply chains being more nimble, I think that's the crux of it all, because what you're seeing is Gen Z is fundamentally spending hours and hours on their phones. They're addicted to TikTok or over here Instagram. They're watching all these influencers, all these celebrities creating content constantly. When they come onto your site, the need of commerce is to ensure that you can actually deliver that phenomenal quality, price point, get it on time to them.
Oh,
And
sorry.
so that's,
He's looking at me with his eyes.
Yeah.
His hair is standing on his head, Anish's. So Okay, I will finish, my last question to everybody. It's a very simple question, and we'll finish on a note and pretend that we are all Gen Z. What is the top song on your Spotify playlist today? Everybody, okay? Everybody has to give it. We'll know who is Gen Z out here.
Mine is a very non-Gen Z, right? It's Green
What is,
River.
no. What is the top song?
It's Green River, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
CCR from
CCR.
1962. Fantastic. That's old now. Is.
I think I'll not be embarrassed. I'll pass the question.
Come on, no. You have to answer it. Come on. You have one song.
I think
It could be Darde Dil also.
The way it has been done, the whole Instagram thing, I think 90% of the background song is coming from Animal today. We know which one I'm talking about. So it has to be the first one, whether on my Spotify or not. But you open Instagram, it's the only song people are putting on the background, Animal song.
He's pretending to be Gen Z. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, my child rules the house, so we have Imagine Dragons playing all the time.
Imagine Dragons play. That's the millennial song. It's not a Gen Z song. Go ahead.
I think I'll pass this.
What? No songs for you?
No, so I mean, if I connect with it, my kids have that on their Spotify. If I name mine, then you will just take me out from here. So what I listen now is, if I have to tell that the first one which I open is the duk 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 sound of bullet.
Okay.
So that kicks.
That is
yeah.
stuck in your head.
Yeah, that's stuck in
Puneet.
my head.
Yeah, my Spotify account is ruled by my kids. So it's BTS for my boy and Blackpink for my girl.
Okay, so
hearing of
since
that.
everybody has said it, I should also say it. My current top song is Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Siley Cyrus. Thank you all for being here and patient and listening. I thought we could have a few minutes for people to ask questions, but okay, one question, two questions, guys. Anybody questions? Okay, one. One. You can ask two in one question only. There, yeah.
Yeah, my question is to the gentleman from Tommy. He said he waits for the brand to mature or sort of style to mature, if I've heard it right. Could you explain a bit more and then about that?
1 minute.
So, yeah, this is like a secret sauce that you're asking for, but I'll make it as generic as possible. See, there is a product life cycle and there is a trend life cycle. You go to a fast fashion store, you will see anywhere between 40 to 100 trends going on at any point of time. What we tend to ignore is that 80% of them go on discount very, very quickly. So there is a product cycle for the mainstream brands which needs to take up, and very few realize this. They're all swayed by the fast fashion number of trends that they enter the store or see online, considering them as mainstream and start designing around it. What we tend to do is remove the riffraff, bring it out of what can shape in the next 6 months to 12 months. It's not about what is trending now, but what can stay for the next few seasons, and you can build a business on it. So that's how I would want to explain it.
Okay, so I can't ask any more questions, otherwise Anish will not share his cigars with me. Neither his drink. Thank you very much on the panel, everybody. Thank you for being patient.